In the school sky, a flock of crows announces that the mood has turned heavy, while a mysterious voice asks if they did something wrong. Floating upside down and surrounded by flying crosses, the possessed girl cries, asking why all of this is happening. Worried by the scene, the rookie priest calls out to his master, but the old-timer, smoking a cigar, immediately asks if the kid is feeling sorry for the student. Seeing all the craziness in the air, the veteran priest asks point blank if his apprentice is scared of the situation. Trying to hide his nervousness, the kid swears he's not scared, and that it's just the tension of his first mission getting to him. With a cold sweat and a nervous smile, the old-timer admits that he's the one who's terrified and thinks he's going to kick the bucket today. Shocked by the confession, the rookie can hardly believe that the great Father Kang would say something like that. Shaking in his boots for not being warned about the danger, the newbie stammers while his master is already gearing up for a fight. Without wasting any time, the apprentice throws open the Holy Bible and gets ready to cover the older man's back. Tossing an object behind him, the veteran says he doesn't need help from a pipsqueak and tells him to just hold on to that carefully. Confused by his attitude, the boy looks down at his hand and realizes he's just been given a cell phone. Face to face with the possessed student, who is now giving him a gullish stare, the priest prepares to act. Clapping his hands together with force and releasing an insane amount of energy, the master apologizes to the child in advance. Right after, the old-timer unleashes a destructive red aura, warning that it's going to sting a little. While the demon is startled by such power, screaming in pain, the evil entity realizes that this guy can perform an exorcism without even needing a full ritual. Faced with so much power, the creature admits that the rumors about this exorcist's overwhelming strength were totally true. With all his faith, Father Kang invokes the name of the Holy Trinity as he concentrates his blow. Impressed by his stance, the newbie follows his master, reciting the Lord's Prayer in shock. Twisting in the air, the girl screams in agony while the entity threatens to end everyone present. Relentless in his attack, the old-timer tells the evil spirit to go back to whatever pit it crawled out of, once and for all. Under the divine heat, the demon lets out a deafening scream, feeling its skin burn with no way to escape. Suddenly, a huge flash of light illuminates the entire area, breaking the heavy tension in the courtyard. Slowly, the student blinks her eyes, seeming to regain consciousness for a brief moment. Expelled from the host body, the evil shadow is violently thrown backward against the wall. His eyes wide, the young assistant can barely process what just happened. Out of nowhere, the veteran loses his epic posture and starts panting, complaining that old age has finally caught up to him for real. Dripping with sweat and shaking from exhaustion, the master lets out a yell, urgently calling for his apprentice. The kid promptly responds, thinking he needs to prepare the final sealing ritual. Pointing a finger in the boy's face, the old man forbids him from blabbing about this moment of weakness, completely ignoring the loose demon. Full of swagger, the smoker claims that dignity and reputation are the most important things in a man's life. In a bizarre twist, a monstrous hand grabs the exorcist's face by surprise, shattering the mood. Slamming the old-timer brutally against the ground, the possessed girl sends the newbie into absolute despair. With a sinister smile, the girl scoffs, saying it got spooked for nothing over that lame little show. Thrown onto the concrete and bleeding from his head, the veteran grumbles that if he were 5 years younger, this would be a different story. Pulling the old man up by the collar, the creature humiliates the master, calling him a cowardly chicken. In an act of blind courage, the apprentice raises the Bible and begins to chant a banishment spell. Firing a holy light, the boy orders the restless soul to vanish from that place immediately. Totally immune to the attack, the girl smiles devilishly while the old-timer tells the kid to run far away. In the blink of an eye, the monster disappears from sight, moving at an absurd speed. Landing a devastating kick, the abomination sends the young priest flying, making the cell phone go airborne. Back to its main target, the entity tells the old man not to be in a hurry, because it's going to devour his energy first. Pinned against the wall, the exorcist curses his own luck, saying he'll have to resort to his last-ditch effort. With a dead serious expression, the smoker decides there's no other way out. Thinking it's a pure bluff, the creature mocks the dying man as he promises to show whether the trick works or not. Lying on the ground far away, the rookie feels a chill run down his spine, thinking his superior is about to self-destruct to save everyone. Certain of her victory, the demonic girl warns that she won't give him any chance to react. Sucking in air with all his lung capacity, the old-timer prepares his supposed secret attack. At the top of his lungs, the master lets out a cry for help so pathetic and high-pitched that even the monster is confused. Creating an awkward silence in the courtyard, the desperate scene leaves the atmosphere completely frozen. Like a frightened child, the exorcist begs for help non-stop, irritating the girl with the embarrassing display. Horrified by the scene, the newbie deduces that his mentor's mind has finally snapped for good. Unexpectedly, a ringtone breaks the ice, coming directly from the cell phone dropped on the ground. Vibrating on the concrete, the device shows that a bizarre connection has just been established. On speakerphone, a laid-back voice rings out, asking if Father Kang can hear the call. Completely lost, the apprentice wonders who in the world is calling at a time like this. On the other end of the line, a mysterious guy with headphones mocks the old man for taking so long to cry uncle. Next to a blue-haired girl, the blonde guy states that the call means the old timer has agreed to pay the required price. Revealing his sly move, the contact confesses he was already hiding nearby, just waiting for the client to get desperate. Observing the school from the outside, the new character wonders if the old man will be grateful for all this consideration. Gritting its teeth in hatred, the evil entity realizes it's been played for a fool this whole time. With its hand raised to finish the job, the monster declares that calling another useless priest won't do any good. Drooling with rage, the possessed girl guarantees that the outcome of this fight is already sealed, and no one can change it. Desperate about his imminent demise, the young assistant screams his master's name in tears. Hearing a sound slicing through the wind, the veteran smiles in relief and tells the backup to act fast. Violently shattering a glass window, a loud boom echoes, breaking the battlefield. Like an out-of-control meteor, the blonde guy crashes onto the scene, landing a brutal knee strike right in the demon's face. Smiling mid-air, the newcomer strikes up a conversation with his client in the middle of the beatdown without the slightest hesitation. Mercilessly grabbing the goal by the hair, he asks if the old timer is absolutely sure about what he's doing. Pinning the creature to the ground right in front of the newbie, the mercenary questions if going so hard near the kid is a good idea. Furious with the stalling, the old man tells him to shut up and finish the job already, since he charged a fortune for his help. In total shock, the rookie tries to process where that maniac came from and what kind of absurd power he has. In its most demonic form, the entity seethes with rage for being ignored and treated like trash during its own beatdown. Lunging forward with bloodlust, the creature swears it will tear every piece of those scoundrels apart. With pure boredom in his eyes, the mercenary named Sahayan, Wu asks the abomination an ironic little question. Sinking his fist into the monster's stomach with colossal force, the blonde guy warns that evil spirits feel a heck of a lot of pain, too. In absolute shock, the rookie doesn't understand what kind of crazy thing he just witnessed. Smiling as naturally as can be, the blonde guy names his own move the Holy Punch. Hurled by the force of the impact, the entity flies far, breaking everything in its path. Pinned against the debris, the creature begs for mercy while the mercenary tells it to get out of the girl's body nicely. Desperate at the scene, the newbie thinks the maniac is going to end up taking out the possessed student along with it. At that exact moment, Father Kang's heavy hand blocks his apprentice's advance. Calmly lighting his cigar, the veteran says that everyone thinks the same thing the first time they see this guy in action. Not understanding a thing, the boy questions his attitude but only receives an order to watch in silence. Suddenly, the student starts convulsing on the ground, making bizarre sounds as if she's choking. In a grotesque scene, a mass of purple energy is violently vomited out of the host. Completely dumbfounded, the assistant can hardly believe the demon was physically expelled. Lying on the ground in its original form, the creature grumbles in pain while the priest realizes an exorcism just happened through sheer aggression. Grabbing the little monster by the head with brute force, the hero mocks its suffering, making the girl cry in fear. Faced with the ultimatum to leave peacefully, the spirit gives up fighting and swears it will go to the great beyond without causing trouble. With a psychopath smile, the main character pretends he's going to let it slide and tells the creature to get out of his sight. Tossing the creature into the air like a baseball, the mercenary ignores its threats to find another body. Giving it no chance to escape, the boy yells his partner's name, telling her to finish the job. Promptly, the blue-haired girl joins her hands, concentrating an immense amount of magical energy. Summoning a giant spiritual bow, the partner prepares for a devastating attack. Drawing the string of light with absolute precision, she focuses directly on the flying target. Slicing through the wind, a massive projectile is fired at extremely high speed. Hitting it square in the face, the arrow freezes the demon in mid-air. Confused and trapped by the blow, the monster realizes too late that it has become an easy target. Suffering from the purification, the ghoul lets out one last scream of despair. In a brilliant and devastating explosion, the evil spirit is completely vaporized without a trace. Thrilled with the perfect result, the protagonist praises the beautiful shot by the archer, Hanji Ram. Landing with style and a bored expression, the partner hears her colleague ask her to stop being such a show-off. Completely frozen, the rookie priest notes that what he just saw was a far cry from a traditional exorcism. Outside, with the police already on the scene, the veteran Kang congratulates the apprentice on his first mission and warns him that he'll have to get used to this kind of craziness. Watching the ambulances, the old-timer explains that demons love to feed on the fear and resentment of vulnerable children. Taking a slow drag from his cigar, the master justifies that most exorcists avoid taking cases involving minors because of the instability. But focusing on the victim, the veteran shows that the student is safe, and the wounds from the punch are already healing on their own. Unsettled by the situation, the apprentice mutters that it makes no sense for someone to expel demons and heal wounds by just beating them up. Shrugging, the old man says the end result is what matters, but the newbie stands his ground, refusing that logic. Furious, the boy questions how the church can outsource a mission like this to a civilian with no sacred training. Trembling with fear of the consequences, the intern warns that if the Vatican finds out about these shenanigans, they'll both be excommunicated. Watching the mysterious duo ride off on a motorcycle, the young priest finally asks where that team came from. Trying to recall, Father Kang vaguely remembers the weird name of the kid's agency. Carrying the saved girl in his arms, the hero shows that despite the brutality, the rescue was a complete success. Far away, the scene cuts to the ancient and gloomy gates of a traditional shamanic temple. Out of nowhere, the solid wooden doors begin to creak under a frightening, invisible pressure. In a violent burst, a shockwave sends the shamans flying, destroying the entire courtyard. Lying on the ground and bleeding, the head priestess tries to pull herself together, yelling that the enemy is not normal. Roaring in the darkness with a gigantic, muscular body, the monster proves that the danger here is on another level. With a bloodthirsty look, the ghoul makes a grim deal, demanding the body of a strong young man in exchange for the survivors' lives. Tires screeching on the asphalt, the sports bike brakes sharply in the middle of the street. Taking off his helmet with swagger, the blonde guy listens attentively to the information in his earpiece. Complaining about the time, his partner asks why they're in a rush and finds out another hunt request just came in. Worried about being tardy, the girl reminds him that the location is far and they'll be late for school. Adjusting his goggles with a grin, the bounty hunter only wants to know the size of the fortune he's about to make. Back at the Grim Temple, a gigantic dead tree marks the scene of the new tragedy. Completely outraged, the shaman yells at a kid, calling the negotiation a bad joke. Sitting on top of the pig's head on the altar, the hero bites into an apple and asks her to calm down, claiming money doesn't matter when lives are at stake. Almost exploding with rage, the woman points a finger in his face, screaming that he's the biggest mercenary alive. Chewing with his mouth open and smiling cynically, the boy from the healing agency ignores the insults and questions the next step. Desperate, the client ignores the priestess's warnings and promises to pay any absurd amount to save his possessed father. Hopeless, the family argues that if even the famous shaman couldn't handle the creature, they need to resort to any maniac they can find. Placing a hand on the scared son's shoulder, the protagonist takes a serious stance and guarantees he'll handle it. Pointing to himself with pure confidence, he declares that keeping promises to clients is the #1 rule of the business. Leaning against the motorcycle and scrolling on her phone, the assistant rolls her eyes and mutters that this golden rule is just a load of BS to charge more. Walking toward the shadowy door, the kid ignores his partner's hurried warnings about not missing class. Hiding in the dark, the muscular demon cracks a bizarre smile, seeing that the main course has just arrived. Relaxed, the hero cracks his neck, warming up for the hand-to-hand confrontation. Drooling with hunger, the creature lunges forward with its claws ready, demanding the boy hand over his body at once. With a colossal impact, the blonde guy buries his fist in the monster's face, yelling his classic holy punch. Seeing the unprovoked assault, the patient's son panics, thinking his father was just killed. Facing the family's accusations, the mercenary scratches the back of his neck, trying to explain that the beatdown is part of the medical treatment. Pressing on the old man's neck, he forces out a rainbow-colored vomit, expelling the evil entity and proving the old man is saved. Rushing to help their unconscious father, the family cries, begging the elderly man to hang on. Observing the shrunken demon, the shaman is left speechless, realizing the maniac broke all the magical rules with just one punch. Even with the spirit out of the body, the relatives keep complaining about the violence and demand an explanation. Revving the motorcycle, the partner warns that time is up and threatens to ditch her boss. Noticing the escape attempt, the priestess yells indignantly, wanting to know how she's supposed to clean up this whole mess at the temple. Flashing a charming smile before hopping on the back of the bike, the protagonist throws the responsibility back to the shaman. To top it off, the slick talker lays down a pickup line, claiming she's the most beautiful woman he's ever seen, leaving the lady completely swooning. Furious with the situation, the family confronts the shaman for trying to flee in the middle of the confusion. With her swords crossed, Yin tells everyone to shut up and have a little faith. Livid with their attitude, she points a finger in the children's faces without a shred of pity. At that same moment, the patient begins to smile, regaining his strength, as the priestess announces that nobody dies in her rituals. With a loud shout, the woman shows she has everything under control. Raising her glowing sword, she invokes a giant purification spell to drive away the evil spirits for good. Faced with that incredible light, the crowd has to cover their eyes, impressed by the magical power. Without wasting time, the MC and his partner sneak onto the motorcycle, taking advantage of the distraction. During their escape down the road, The mercenary just wants to make sure the payment will hit his account. Far away, a cursed object starts to crack on its own in the middle of the street. Startled by a strange energy, the priestess turns her head, sensing danger. Up close, the bizarre goat skull shatters, revealing a disgusting black seal. With wide eyes, Yun realizes the problem is far from over. Back to the calm, the scene cuts to the bustling entrance of the school. At the school gate, the MC's partner is caught by her friends right as she's arriving late. In the library, the archer tries to focus on her magic studies, searching for a forbidden book. Soon, her friends show up, teasing her and asking if she ever gets tired of messing with all this evil spirit stuff. The subject quickly changes, and the girls question if she's looking for her teammate. Without beating around the bush, a friend bluntly asks if the two of them are secretly dating. Startled by the gossip, the girl jumps in surprise and nearly falls off the ladder. Just then, the blonde guy himself pops up out of nowhere, yelling indignantly at the absurd idea. Finding it funny, the group justifies it by saying the two of them arrive together on a motorcycle every single day. Full of anger, the boy threatens to raise the subscription price for his demon photos if the teasing doesn't stop. After apologizing, the group backs off while the partners deny any kind of romance. Suddenly, one of the friends blushes and confesses she actually has a thing for the cocky mercenary. Caught by surprise, the partner lets out a mocking smile, not believing her friend's bad taste. As the afternoon ends, the sun begins to set over the city, painting the sky. With a yank on the door, the protagonist bursts into the room, running like a madman. Noticing his hurry, the girls inform him that his target has already bolted from the school like a rocket. Full of gossip, the girls bet that the maniac must have gone to meet some secret girlfriend. Surprised by the rumor, the archer immediately dismisses the idea of him dating. At the hospital entrance, a doctor explains it was just a mild seizure, but they need to investigate further. On the phone, the MC listens to demands for overdue bills with an expression of pure desperation. In a deep sleep, his younger sister sleeps peacefully in her bed, unaware of her brother's financial struggles. Very grateful to his boss for the time off, the mercenary swears he'll make up for the lost work time later. As he hangs up, he grumbles about his boss being all shy and trying to hide his concern for his family. Waking up gently, the little girl rubs her eyes, calling for her older brother in a sleepy voice. With a relieved smile, she says she took her medicine and is already feeling super good. Excited by her improvement, the blonde guy promises to buy any food in the world his princess wants to eat today. Overjoyed, the little sister throws her arms in the air, declaring he's the best brother in the universe. On the street, leaving, the protagonist hears someone yelling his name with great desperation. With a screech of tires, the shaman Yin appears on her scooter, sweaty and disheveled. Out of breath, she runs toward the team, warning them that the case of the possessed old man from the morning isn't over. Unwrapping a dirty cloth, the woman reveals that the cursed goat head came out from inside the client's body. With a scream of horror, the archer is completely grossed out seeing the bizarre object up close. With a tense voice, the priestess guarantees that someone planted that curse in the patient's body on purpose. Not quite understanding the gravity of the situation, the boy hears that the occultists might come after him for revenge now. Back in the hospital corridors, chaos erupts with a possessed guy holding a knife and threatening everyone. The sound of high heels echoes on the cold floor, breaking through the noise of general panic. In the middle of the hallway, the hero comes face to face with a very familiar figure blocking his path. With a cigarette in her hand and a psychopathic look, the woman thanks him for the meeting, mocking the situation. Shocked, the MC recognizes the enemy as the daughter of the client he saved earlier. Relaxing on a bench, the villain confesses she spent every penny she had to buy that evil spirit. Lifting her shirt, she displays a bizarre seal on her stomach, proving she used her own body as collateral for the spell. Paralyzed, the mercenary can barely process that someone paid to become a monster on purpose. Cold and calculating, the woman reveals the plan was to take out her father and brother to inherit the entire fortune alone. Losing her mind, she blames the protagonist for ruining her perfect scheme and meddling where he shouldn't have. In a feral attack, she lunges forward, trying to stab the boy right there in the middle of the hallway. During the strike, the hag questions if the hero ever thought about the consequences of ruining other people's lives. Amidst a black smoke filled with gullish heads, the witch undergoes a mutation, swearing that demons will destroy everything he loves. Full of hatred, the villain places all the blame for her failure on the hero and the meddling shaman. Controlling a wave of dark beasts, she screams that her life would have been perfect if the old man had just passed away. Too fast to dodge, the blonde guy ends up getting hit squarely by the dark tentacles. In the midst of the confusion, a high-pitched scream makes the protagonist's blood run cold. Turning his head, he sees his defenseless little sister being lifted by the giant monster's arms. With a sick smile on her face, the hag claims this tragedy is the exact price he pays for playing the hero. Ready to crush the child, the sadistic woman warns that she's going to savor the girl's slow demise. Terrified, the little sister cries, calling for her brother as she's squeezed by the dark magic. In a state of shock, the mercenary completely loses his sanity and patience at the sight. Suddenly, an aura of fury explodes, tearing through the darkness and making the entire floor of the building tremble. With a stomp on the ground, the boy shatters the floor using pure, concentrated brute force. In an acrobatic leap, he breaks free from the demonic restraints in the blink of an eye. Convinced of her victory, the witch maintains that disgusting smile, thinking she still has control of the fight. Furious, the MC charges forward at an imperceptible speed and grabs the wretch's face with deadly hatred. Shattering the entire glass wall, he throws the woman from the top of the hospital, sending her straight down to smash a car on the street. Outside, car alarms blare, breaking the tense silence of the hospital. Stuck on top of the dented roof, our boy coughs up blood, trying to recover from the impact. Standing and completely unscathed, the villain scoffs, calling the kid a hypocrite for caring so much about his own family. Surrounded by a bizarre dark aura, the hag warns that now the hero will pay for ruining her life. With her eyes glowing pure red, the girl declares that the final revenge has arrived. Still dazed from the blow, the mercenary can barely lift his head to retort. Very slowly, the blonde guy gets up, holding his sister, and tells the psycho to stop blaming others for her own greed. In a leap charged with darkness, the woman attacks again, while the MC throws the truth in her face about selling her own soul. Completely blind with rage, the witch tells him to shut up and stop acting like he knows the whole story. Consumed by resentment, the villain recalls always being pushed aside in the family, while her older brother received all the love. Using dark magic to fire deadly spikes, she decrees that all those relatives were trash who deserved to go. In an incredible reflex, our protagonist leaps into the air, escaping death by a hair's breadth. He immediately punches back the darkness and prepares his comeback. With a blow that rips through the wind, the boy questions if that's reason enough to slaughter your own blood. Struck in the middle of her face, the woman is dragged backward, feeling the colossal force of the hit. Still in the air, the blonde guy promises to charge a very expensive fee for this wretch's exorcism. With blood in his eyes, the hero shouts that the entire bill will fall directly on her family. In a violent landing, the mercenary shatters the asphalt, raising a giant cloud of dust. Far away, his partners tear down the street on their motorcycle, speeding to reach the scene of the chaos. Worried, the archer tries to calm her colleague, but the shaman already knows this demon is no joke. To explain the gravity of the danger, the girl reveals that this curse is linked to dangerous occultists capable of summoning spirits nonstop. With wide eyes, the driver understands that the enemy is the worst kind of people, who basically open the gates of the underworld. Back at the hospital, the witch releases an insane amount of darkness, confirming that the real nightmare has begun. From the disgusting shadows, dozens of demonic beasts crawl out of the ground like cockroaches. With a lunatic's laugh, the woman shows off in the middle of her own private army of the undead. Sporting a psychopath's face, the villain warns that it's useless to fight, because this place has already become the pure underworld. Panting and covered in sweat, our boy tries to catch his breath in the face of this unfair disadvantage. From the enemy's posture, the kid instantly figures out that the woman's soul has been completely devoured by the demon. After wiping his injured face, the protagonist flashes a mocking smile and asks for the floor before starting the massacre. Full of swagger, the hero states that his agency's services are extremely expensive and tells the girl to get her wallet ready. Before the disaster, a quick memory shows the archer taking a happy selfie with the team. Reading the mission clipboard, a random church employee classifies the creature's danger level as Class D. Behind the caution tape, a giant monster roars while the rookies think it's too easy of a task. With a cigar in his mouth, Father Kang scolds the crew, warning that even a weak monster can take real lives. In the blink of an eye, an assistant panics and interrupts the sermon to report a catastrophe 1,000 times worse. Full of fear, the informant drops the bombshell that a level A evil spirit has just appeared at the university hospital. In absolute shock, the old-timer drops his cigar, unable to believe the scale of the problem. Right in the middle of the night scene, the agency's sign glows with style as the hero faces the enemy troops. In the middle of the war zone, the hunter's little sister remains unconscious, in absurd mortal danger. With her hand outstretched, the witch gives the final order for her zombies to attack the target without mercy. Surrounded on all sides, the blonde guy cracks his knuckles and announces the plan is to beat up every single curse until no one is left. In a supersonic dash, the boy charges forward, focused on collecting the extra fee from everyone who tried to touch his little sister. With a brutal uppercut, the hero sends the gray demon straight to the sky, promising to beat the full price out of it. Immediately, another abomination jumps into the warrior's blind spot with claws ready to tear human flesh. In a spin of pure reflex, our protagonist pierces the monster's chest, spilling enemy blood on the ground. With his teeth gritted in pure hatred, the mercenary withstands the pressure of the hand-to-hand battle against the infinite horde. Grabbing one of the creatures by the neck, he smashes the fiend's head against the car's body, calling the monster trash. Giving no opening, the kid lands a precise straight punch, crushing the next gull's face. In a purely cowardly move, the villain sends sneaky shadow tentacles toward the little girl lying unconscious on the ground. Noticing the dirty move, the older brother's blood runs cold, and he lets out a desperate scream. At the same time, he delivers a flying kick to a zombie and desperately clears a path through the crowd. With cold sweat dripping from his face, the boy runs like a madman, trying to cross the street before the attack. Like a meteor, the hero lands in front of the danger, yelling for the darkness to get out of the way. Oblivious to this magical apocalypse, the little princess continues to snore peacefully on the concrete. Surprised by the MC's absurd speed, the killing claw freezes in the air just inches from the child. In an act of pure insanity, the maniac grabs the deadly dark energy with his bare hands. Yelling, the protective brother orders with deadly hatred for that filth to disappear from near the girl. With sheer brute force, he tears the shadow spell in half, breaking the dark magic with brutality. With the risk finally averted, the mercenary falls to his knees, panting but relieved to have protected his treasure. In a mocking tone, the sorceress shakes her head, criticizing the hero's exhaustion, but admitting his power to nullify magic with a punch is impressive. With slow steps, the hag explains that those easy to kill monsters are just common humans stuffed with evil spirits. Totally surprised by the enemy's resilience, she mentions the fact that he beat up an entire battalion without even using a divine ritual. With a devilish smile on her face, the villain points at the boy and concludes that there's something very wrong with him. Holding his sore shoulder, the protagonist hears the woman state that he definitely does not belong to the human race. To mess with his head, the witch brings up the trauma of him being thrown out by his own mother in the middle of the rain. Hit square in the soul, the hero grinds his teeth in fury, completely losing his reason and tactical posture. Without considering the consequences, the maniac launches a blind kamikaze attack, cursing the wretch to high heaven. With a devilish smile, the sorceress celebrates internally, seeing that her emotional trap worked perfectly. In a swift and lethal blow, the witch impales the careless hero's chest with a black tentacle, piercing his flesh. In a taunting tone, the woman laughs, saying he acted like an amateur kid, losing control over just a few words. With his mouth full of blood, the warrior's eyes widen as he feels the monstrous pain tearing through his organs. In that dark second, a blue arrow of light crosses the sky, shining brightly like a shooting star. Hitting the ground with the impact of a magical bomb, the projectile pushes back the darkness and throws the villain far away. Appearing with her glowing bow in hand, the archer arrives with the shaman, scolding her partner to get a grip. With his hand pressed against the open wound, the blonde guy can barely stand and begs the girls to run because the danger is insane. With her morale high, the priestess tells the guy to shut up and focus, since he's the only one half dead there. In an absurd spinning slash, the shaman cuts down several evil spirits, telling the archer not to lower her guard for a second. Furious with the intrusion, the green-haired villain screams for the two losers to get out of her way. Without wasting time, her teammate draws the string of the magic bow with all her remaining strength. Quickly, the girl fires blue arrows of light, exploding the smaller demons and clearing a path. Right after, the swordswoman slashes through the air, easily decapitating the dark monsters. Suddenly, a giant wolf-like creature lunges ferociously from behind the duo. Surprised by the swift attack, the archer suffers a violent cut on her shoulder and screams in pure pain. Seeing the bloody scene, the protagonist screams his friend's name in a mix of hatred and despair. Quickly, the priestess catches the injured girl before she collapses onto the concrete. Alert to the infinite horde, the shaman admits her partner was completely right about the absurd number of enemies. Breathing heavily, the archer confesses she's never seen such an evil and dense energy in her life. Despite the serious injury, a glint of suicidal determination appears in the wounded girl's eyes. Far away, the blonde guy remains stretched out on the ground, bleeding heavily and with no strength to react. Hatching a crazy plan, the archer asks the shaman to open a direct path to the fallen hero. Full of conviction, the girl states that this is their only chance to turn the tables against the hag. With a diabolical laugh, the witch scoffs, asking what the two idiots are whispering about. In an explosive dash, the archer ignores the insults and runs straight into danger while her friend covers her back. Straight from her sleeve, the shaman stylishly pulls out a magic seal and recites the final enchantment. Like magic, an all-consuming flame roasts the abominations, opening the perfect fire barrier. With fury in her teeth, the MC's partner runs through hell, focused only on the final target. During the run, the girl's mind flashes back to her friends questioning her hatred for her partner. Back in the chaos, the cursed villain intercepts her path, promising to kill the intruder right there. In a nimble slide, the blue-haired girl dodges death's clutches by mere millimeters. An image of the protagonist as a baby, abandoned in a box in the merciless cold, appears in her memory. Then, the memory shows them as children, sharing the heavy pain of being rejected by the world. In tears, the little archer wields a knife, claiming she was the one who abandoned her father, not the other way around. With the blade trembling in her hand, she planned to kill her own possessed father to destroy the evil curse. At that exact moment, the young blonde boy appears and stops the girl, preventing a childhood tragedy. Sobbing, the little girl screams that she doesn't care and asks, tearfully, what else she could do. Completely unstable, the child shoves the hero, yelling that even the priests ran away in fear of the monster. Grabbing her shirt collar, the kid stands his ground, stating that ditching your own family is just plain stupid. In the snow, the two roll on the ground, fighting like cats and dogs over the sharp knife. Desperate, the girl throws it in his face that he doesn't understand anything because he never had a real family. After the scuffle, the two sit in the cold in a silence heavy with hurt and sadness. In tears, the little girl feels the weight of the world on her shoulders, not knowing how to save her father from certain doom. Firmly, the young MC stares at the shiny blade, making a decision far beyond his years. With a dark but determined look, the maniac promises he'll help the girl with this impossible mission. Astonished by his attitude, the girl's eyes widen, not understanding how a pipsqueak could do that. With a straight face, the little blonde boy declares with absolute certainty that he can exterminate evil spirits with his bare hands. Starting early, the future mercenary demands only that she pay her debt after the job is done. Facing the monster that used to be her father, the girl finally finds a glimmer of hope in his promise. As final payment, the MC asks that the old man adopt them both to form a real family. Back in the present-day war, the archer stands her ground, swearing to pay the debt she owes him. Ignoring the pain and fear, she extends her hand to her partner, who is completely surrounded by murderous darkness. Confused and injured, the protagonist tries to push the girl away, thinking she's gone completely insane for stepping in there. Another quick flashback to the library echoes their friends, teasing about a possible romance between them. In the middle of the confusion, the girl grabs the hero's collar with all her strength and pulls him aggressively. In a sudden move, the girl violently bites the young man's neck, sending blood flying everywhere. Caught completely by surprise, the kid's eyes widen, feeling her teeth sink into his flesh. In that same fraction of a second, a brutal aura explodes, sweeping away the shadows in a radius of destruction. With her hands on her face, the priestess watches the scene, dumbfounded, not believing the crazy tactic. In a hurricane of pure power, the duo repels the entire demonic horde that was suffocating the area. Blinded by the intense light, the witch shields her eyes, cursing the two for pulling so much power out of nowhere. Finally understanding the move, the shaman realizes the bite served to unlock the MC's contained spiritual power. In a terrifying glimpse of the past, the child MC devoured the flesh of a demon in the shadows of a room. With his face stained with black blood, the boy swallowed the cursed essence just to survive hell. Because of this sacrifice, his body absorbed the energy, turning him into a human reactor of lethal magic. Faced with her friend's pain, the little girl cried softly, promising to never forget the trauma he carried. Back on the battlefield, the hero's hair turns platinum, revealing his true predatory form. With a bloodthirsty gaze and red pupils, the protagonist focuses on his target, emanating a murderous fury. Lying on the ground and panting, his partner tells him to finish the beatdown quickly before her body gives out. Standing firm like a stone mountain, the platinum blonde guy gets up and guarantees he won't prolong the massacre. Adjusting his stance, he plants his sneaker into the concrete, ready for a lethal dash toward the witch. Like lightning tearing across the sky, the boy vanishes from sight, breaking the sound barrier and gravity. Paralyzed with terror, the villain realizes too late that all of the enemy's serious injuries have healed instantly. In total desperation, the hag launches all her shadow spears at once, trying to stop the monstrous charge. However, the maniac simply smashes the magic with a pure punch, shattering her defense like glass. Without ceremony, the MC grabs the wretch's face with one hand, crushing her pride and her skull. With absurd brutality, he buries the woman's head in the asphalt, opening a colossal crater. Pinned to the ground and spitting blood, the sorceress can barely blink from the pain after the impact. With his fist glowing like a divine star, the hero prepares the ultimate punishment against the abomination. Overflowing with fury, he yells that the next blow is going to hurt a lot. Knowing the end has come, the woman lets out a terrifying scream, facing the fatal flash head-on. In a cataclysmic explosion, the divine punch obliterates the villain against the ground, creating a pillar of light that purifies all evil. Hit square on, the villain screams in pain and spits blood, feeling the weight of defeat. Hurled by the force of the impact, the hag flies far, destroying the concrete in her path. Pinned to the ground by stakes of pure darkness, the sorceress lets out grunts of pure agony. Without the slightest pity, the gullish shadows tear the witch's flesh, piercing her body. About to suffocate, the wretch puffs out her cheeks, trying to withstand the magical pressure on her neck. In a disgusting scene, the woman vomits a bizarre head right in front of the hunting team. Faced with the chicken head covered in seals, the shaman concludes that the occultists use this weirdness to manipulate people. Unexpectedly, a sinister voice echoes in the dark, calling our protagonist its name. Directly from the cursed remains, the entity confesses its total shock at the blonde guy's hidden power. Full of swagger, The spirit swears it will kill everyone and drag the boy's supposed girlfriend straight to the underworld. With no patience for a cocky villain, the hero smashes the relic with a brutal stomp on the asphalt. With a sharp gaze, the MC tells the enemy to show its face instead of hiding behind magical trash. After losing all his epic composure, the boy turns red and desperately yells that the archer is not his girlfriend. Far from all this comedy, the villain coughs violently, trying to recover from the colossal damage. Confused and finally free from the mind control, the woman looks around, not understanding how she ended up in the middle of the street. Full of anger, the shaman throws it in the socialite's face that the entity used her body to annihilate her own family. Seeing her father and brother approach, the rich girl breaks down in tears, begging for forgiveness. Sobbing, the woman confesses she was completely blinded by greed for money and power. In a tight hug, the father forgives his daughter and cries with her, proving that love triumphed over tragedy. Saddened by the situation, the older brother also apologizes, admitting he should have protected his little sister. Totally remorseful, the young woman buries her face in her father's shoulder, shedding a river of tears. To calm his daughter, the old man takes all the blame, claiming he let the young woman's heart lose its way. Amid the debris, the entire family embraces, forgetting the traumas of the past. With no time for emotions, the priestess interrupts the moment, demanding the exact address of the macabre pact. In a quick cut, the sound of a baseball bat hitting a ball echoes in the new scene. Fast on the bases, a pink-haired boy celebrates a perfect home run during the game. With a huge grin on his face, the kid hears his friends complaining that he plays a little too well. Faced with an invitation to join the official team, the young man sadly declines, explaining that his mother hates the idea. Hurriedly packing his things, the boy says goodbye while his friends grumble that the game is no fun without its star player. Overjoyed, the young talent runs off to avoid being late home and getting into trouble. Rushing down the empty street, the boy picks up his pace, racing against the clock to avoid a scolding. At the entrance of a super luxurious building, the kid finally announces his arrival in the dark apartment. Hidden in the shadows of the hallway, his mother waits with her arms crossed, asking where her son has been in a dark voice. Nervous about being caught, the boy tries to lie about the baseball game, but the woman sees through it instantly. With a wooden bat in her hand, the psychopathic mother questions how many times she's forbidden this stupid game. Terrified by the threat, the little boy raises his hands, begging for mercy and swearing never to disobey again. Overcome by madness, the woman swings the makeshift weapon, yelling about her own blood's rebelliousness. In a violent swing at nothing, she screams, asking if the kid wants to end up a failure just like his father. Hitting the wall on purpose, the blow shatters a potted plant, scattering dirt in the hallway. On the destroyed floor, the leather glove and baseball roll among the shards of shattered ceramic. Curled up on the cold floor, the boy cries nonstop while his mother's oppressive figure dominates the room. In a bizarre mood swing, the crazy woman hugs the boy, crying and promising she'll never lose control again. Trapped in this toxic cycle, the young man displays a completely dead look in his eyes as shadows of despair embrace his fragile body. Fueled by all this heavy anguish, a parasitic demon begins to awaken within the child's broken soul. The next morning, the schoolyard is buzzing with students gossiping about the monster attack that devastated the nearby hospital. Gathered in the hallways, the kids comment nervously that evil spirits have been appearing way too frequently lately. On a cell phone screen, the girls drool over a photo of the rookie priest, praising the holy boy's absurd good looks. Completely smitten, the students sigh, claiming the hot exorcist is totally their ideal type. With a popsicle in his mouth, our protagonist grumbles with envy, complaining that priests always steal the agency's fame. Calmly eating her ice cream, the archer soothes her partner, reminding him that the money came through and nobody noticed their dirty work. Thanks to the old smoking priest, the police mess was sorted out in seconds, leaving the mercenaries free to escape. With a bored expression, the blonde guy accuses his colleague of being too much of a mercenary and not understanding the frustration of not being recognized. With a sharp look, the girl calls out his hypocrisy and teases him, asking if she should send a direct message to the handsome priest. With no reply, the hunter turns his face away, sulking while his partner keeps her phone in hand, ready for gossip. After zooming in on the photo, the kid freaks out when he realizes he's in the background and nobody praised his epic presence. In an attempt to inflate his own ego, the maniac asks if he's not good-looking too, but only receives a look of pure disgust. With a kick to her colleague's chair, the girl tells him to shut up and focus on the fact that he secured the medicine for his sick little sister. To break the tension, the archer's friends pop up out of nowhere with a bombshell question about a supposed kiss between the duo. In pure shock, the hunting partner's eyes widen in perfect sync at the crazy accusation. In sheer desperation, the archer yells, asking who the clueless gossip was that spread that rumor to the entire class. Full of embarrassment, the blonde guy scratches the back of his neck and makes things worse by admitting it wasn't technically a real kiss. Grabbing her partner by the collar, the girl shakes the poor guy, telling him to clear this up before the situation gets worse. Appearing out of nowhere, their classmates surround the boy, demanding an explanation about the new romance of the moment. In tears, one of the nerdy students confesses he had a crush on the protagonist first, making the school chaos even more bizarre. To justify the chatter, the girls explain that the two are always attached at the hip, so dating was kind of obvious. Completely floored, the archer mutters that this hasty conclusion is a huge disservice to her image. Amidst laughter, the friends leave, leaving the girl furious and trying to find the source of this wild lie. In a dirty city alley, the focus shifts to a bizarre pink creature trying desperately to escape the hunt. Full of anger, the archer gets a heavy scolding from her boss for letting the evil spirit escape alive again. In a demanding tone, the kid insists his partner wake up in the middle of the dangerous mission. Like a jelly missile, the little monster speeds through the air, taking advantage of the argument to save its own skin. In complete panic, the abomination wonders why on earth that crazy exorcist ignores the basic rule of saving the possessed human. In the creature's memory, the brutal scene of the blonde guy punching the innocent person's stomach to forcibly expel the curse proves his violence. At top speed, the fiend admits it had never seen an exorcism by aggression until it came face to face with this terror. Right in its escape path, the girl draws her glowing magic bow, ready to vaporize the slime and vent all her school stress. Annoyed with the constant escapes, the archer charges a massive arrow, vowing to evaporate the pink creature for good. Firing a volley of light, the girl tells the demon to get off the map, uttering deadly threats. Super confident and slippery, the pink jelly dodges the shots, mocking the team's bad aim. In a cheap taunt, the goal claims the two need to train for another 100 years to even touch it. Breathing heavily, the archer curses her luck while her partner runs right behind. Flying toward the city, the parasite sighs in relief for having escaped death by a whisker. Complaining about the effort spent to get that useless body, the monster decides to find a new human as quickly as possible. Suddenly, the creature's red eyes lock onto a perfect target walking down the street. Down below, the young baseball player scrolls on his phone, completely oblivious to the danger coming from the sky. In recent memory, his school friends question another of the boy's sudden disappearances in the middle of practice. Sad about the situation, the kid apologizes, stating he needs to go straight home on his mother's orders. Lamenting the loss of their best player, the group agrees that his mother hates sports with a passion. Amid the confusion, a more informed classmate reveals that the boy's father was one of the country's greatest professional batters. Hovering in the air like a magical vulture, the pink entity chooses the sad boy as its new host. Reading his mother's desperate messages on his phone, the boy shrinks with anxiety, not noticing the approaching evil. Directly in the boy's mind, a gullish voice asks if he wishes his controlling mother would disappear forever. Appearing like a sinister mystical beast, the spirit offers its help, promising to solve all the child's problems. Frightened, the boy turns around, looking for the source of the dark whisper. In surprise, the cell phone falls from the boy's hand as fear paralyzes his legs. Sprouting from the asphalt, a figure covered in black flames guarantees it will erase all the pain from his soul. With tentacles wrapping around the young man's body, the ghoul feeds on his anguish, revealing its plan to steal that suffering body. Displaying a sick smile, the monster promises to save the boy from all his fear in exchange for physical control. Terrified, the player tries to call for help, but his voice gets stuck in his throat. Immediately, darkness invades the boy's eyes, slowly erasing his consciousness. Inside the kid's mind, chains of dark magic begin to lock the innocent soul in the depths of the abyss. In a burst of power, the spirit finally takes over the host, yelling in victory in the middle of the empty street. Finding it all too easy, the fiend mocks the boy's lack of magical protection. Suddenly, the dominated body freezes completely, causing the boy to cough up blood out of nowhere. Regaining control through sheer willpower, the boy's inner beast roars, declaring that this body already has an owner. In a titanic explosion of repressed power, the kid awakens an absurd aura that shatters the parasite. Completely crushed by the pressure, the pink creature curses the kid for being such a stubborn abomination. In a surprise dive, the mercenary blonde guy falls from the sky, sinking his fist into the ghost with his classic divine punch. Screams of agony rip through the street as the spirit curses the hunting team before disappearing. Finishing the job, the magical impact obliterates the creature in an explosion of white light. Stunned by the scene, the boy lifts his head, not quite understanding what just happened. Feeling his body weigh a ton, the boy slowly faints as the dust settles. Gradually, he regains consciousness, lying on the sidewalk, completely confused. Relieved, the protagonist smiles and says the fiend messed up big time trying to possess the kid in the middle of the street. Sitting on a bench, the archer criticizes her partner for blowing up targets without a shred of exorcism technique. With a suspicious look, the girl warns that she feels a super weird energy coming from the little boy who was just saved. A bit awkwardly, the baseball kid approaches the hunting pair, wanting to thank them for their help. Pointing a curious finger, the young man asks if the duo has the power to do that to any monster. In a quiet neighborhood scene, the sign for the exorcism for hire agency indicates the hero's workplace. Excited, the cocky partner confirms the team's strength and swears they can take down any fiend for the right price. With a business card in hand, the girl says their help is always available as long as they don't drag their feet on the payment. Reinforcing the company's shameless plug, the blonde guy gives a thumbs up, guaranteeing that keeping promises is the #1 rule of the business. Smiling at the card, the boy pockets the contact information, feeling a glimmer of hope. However, the clock ticks, and the fear returns, forcing the boy to run home desperately again. Saying a hasty goodbye, the young man promises to call the duo if anything sinister happens again. Noticing something wrong, the archer calls her partner, warning that he made a very stupid mistake there. Observing the boy from a distance, the girl states with almost certainty that there's already a spirit inside the kid. With her mystical vision activated, demonic chains appear, locking the child's soul in a dark seal. Biting her ice cream, the archer predicts trouble if the boy really seeks out their boss with that hidden creature inside. Agreeing with the disaster scenario, the blonde guy imagines their boss's fury if a problem like that lands on their doorstep. At the end of the day, the sun illuminates the oppressive, luxurious building where the boy lives. Inside the cold, empty apartment, a picture on the wall shows the supposedly perfect and wealthy family. Violently pulling her son's eyelid, the sick mother checks if the child's eyes are normal. Satisfied with his condition, the dark-haired woman relaxes and asks if there was any news at school. Taking a suspicious bottle from her purse, the hag forces the boy to drink his daily dose of a bizarre medicine. With his head down and completely submissive, the boy musters the courage to make one last attempt regarding tomorrow's game. In a weak voice, he begs to go play baseball for just one day, since he's not having fever spells anymore. With her back turned and the sharp gaze of a demon, the mother cuts him off instantly with a gigantic no. Heartbroken, the boy clutches the suspicious bottle and agrees to the woman's absurd order. Smashing a piggy bank, the scene jumps to the boy sorting his hard-earned coins. Counting the change, the kid finally decides he can't take it anymore and will seek help at the agency. Standing in front of a super rundown and humble building, he locates the Mercenary's exorcism office. At the end of a dirty hallway, the establishment's door is a far cry from the glamour the young man imagined. Upon entering the room, the laid-back protagonist greets the boy, asking what a pipsqueak is doing there. With pure innocence, the boy shakes his broken piggy bank, thinking he can buy an exorcism session with chocolate coins. With 2 children clinging to his neck, the agency's boss appears, yelling that this place isn't a charity for school allowances. Totally stressed and with his arms full of babies, the boss tells the little boy to scram because he hates dealing with kids. Not giving up easily, the baseball player throws a bundle of cash on the office table, ripping the bills. His eyes widening behind his dark glasses, the boss chokes at the absurd amount of dirty money spilled on the spot. Desperate, the kid whimpers and asks if the amount is enough to hire the mercenaries. Surprised by the desperate act, the MC's gaze changes, focusing on the heavy mission that just landed in the team's lap. With a trembling voice and eyes full of tears, the boy shocks everyone by asking them to take out his own father. Begging with his head down, the kid clasps his hands in a gesture of pure desperation. Confused by the bizarre request, the protagonist asks if the demon inside the boy's body is his own father. In surprise, the archer's eyes widen, understanding that a familiar evil spirit has taken over the boy. Totally astonished, the girl mutters that she didn't imagine such a cruel twist. Thoughtfully, the blonde guy finds it odd that the child is walking around just fine, since possessed people usually pass out from the pain. In a burst of anger, the agency's boss slams his staff on the floor, cutting the conversation short. Dry and emotionless, the old-timer kicks the kid out, telling him this isn't the right place to solve this. Indignant at the dishonesty, the player points a finger in the protagonist's face, calling him out on the promise from the business card. In an act of rebellion, the MC confronts his boss, questioning if he's really going to throw a child out on the street in mortal danger. Trying to smooth things over, the boy argues that the agency should at least try to help. With a punch to the head, the boss shuts his employee up, blaming him for bringing trash into the office. Adjusting his sunglasses, the old man states that exorcising children is official church business, not for mercenaries. Rubbing the bump on his head, the blonde guy listens to his boss's ultimatum to get out of the room if he's not happy. Without pity, the boss tells the boy to take his mother's hand and go cry at the nearest church. To soften the rejection, the old-timer pulls out his phone, promising to recommend a partner priest who charges cheap. With his head bowed, the boy trembles with anger and says that if the church were an option, he would have gone there a long time ago. Turning his back, the kid gives up completely, telling the heroes to forget the problem. Dashing down the hallway, the child cries, calling the duo liars and crooks. Reaching out, the MC tries to stop him from leaving, but it's too late. Demanding an explanation, the boss pulls the boy's ear, warning him that working outside the Vatican's rules gets you thrown in jail. Point blank, the mercenary asks how the old man plans to pay for the sick little sister's treatments if the agency gets shut down because of this. With a cold demeanor, the boss turns his face away, advising the young man not to get involved in unsolvable problems. In silence, the blonde guy absorbs the reality check, understanding the weight of his mentor's words. With the slam of the door, silence dominates the heavy, empty office. Alone with the babies, the old-timer mutters worriedly, doubting the young Hothed will follow his orders. On the street, the archer plays with her phone, predicting her stubborn partner will get into trouble again. Flying down the sidewalk, the MC runs like a madman, desperately searching for the boy. Sweating buckets, the hero searches for his target in every dark alley in the area. In a nearby park, the crack of a baseball bat draws attention, revealing the little boy crying on the dirt field. Approaching slowly, the hero praises the boy for playing with a stray cat and breaks the ice. Finally introducing himself properly, the protagonist sits on a bench, relieved to have found the runaway kid. With a distant look, the boy doesn't pay much attention, focused only on the abandoned animal. Noticing the silence, the MC tries to start a conversation again, asking if the feline has an owner. In an explosion of honesty, the boy confesses he feels sorry for the cat for not having a home to go back to. Sadly, he confesses that his life has been kind of similar lately, as he no longer knows who he really is. Not quite understanding, the hunter asks the reason for such deep sadness. In the past, the boy remembers the happy days learning baseball with his hero father. Crying, he reveals that his mother freaked out and forbade the sport, saying the game would end him faster. Completely confused, the kid finds it ridiculous that his own mother thinks practice will summon the devil. Sitting in the dark, the young man explains he sought out the mercenary agency because the priests refused the case without his mother's signature. Lost, he shows his hand, trembling with fear of his own family. In a bizarre flashback, the mother promises to take care of her possessed husband, while forcing her son to take strong sedatives. On nights of pure terror, the paternal spirit tries to strangle its own son from the inside out. Crying rivers of tears, the kid begs for a solution, unable to live in that daily hell any longer. Outraged, the protagonist questions what kind of father tortures his own blood out of pure selfishness. With eyes full of hatred, the blonde guy's face darkens as he absorbs the extent of the cruelty. Without losing focus, he remembers the harsh words from the archer and his boss about not getting involved. In the hunter's mind, the old-timer's warning about the dangers of messing with children echoes heavily. Tired of running from problems, the maniac makes the most dangerous decision of his life. With a sharp gaze, he promises to break the rules and perform the exorcism himself. Shifting to a comedic tone, he says the service isn't free and gets a smile out of the boy. In a serious tone, the hero warns that the process won't be clean, and the kid will see his father bleed from the beatdown. Bravely, the boy clutches his piggy bank, accepting all the consequences without blinking. Suddenly, a sinister crow lets out a bizarre cry, breaking the silence of the park. In a frightening flock, dozens of black birds surround the duo in a clear sign of danger. Startled, one of the crows lands directly on the boy's head with a cursed paper hanging from its beak. As if by magic, the bird's voice echoes, asking if the boy plans to take out his own father. Shocked, the blonde guy's eyes widen, remembering the demonic seal, just like the previous hags. Burning in black flames, the crow entity condemns the boy, declaring divine punishment for his rebellion. Enveloped in magical fire, a mysterious woman declares a sentence of pain against the traitorous son. With a purely diabolical gaze, the bird focuses its dark magic directly on the innocent child. Struck by the curse, the boy's eyes glow blood red as mind control takes over. With a swift blow, the kid's hand flies into the hero's face, slapping the maniac hard. Caught by surprise, the mercenary coughs in confusion, asking what the heck is happening to his client. Vomiting dark blood, the child collapses as the inner demon gains power. Desperate, the protagonist shouts against the spell, realizing the instantaneous possession. Far away, the boy's mother blames the occultist, demanding an explanation for her son's miserable state. Sitting in a relaxed chair, the witch smokes calmly, mocking the sick mother's hysteria. Full of smooth talk, the villain argues that a little bit of pain is the best way to fix disobedient children. Pushing a briefcase full of black vials, the sorceress hands over more poison disguised as medicine. Through extortion, the criminal demands double the payment for the mistake in controlling the boy. Before leaving, the sadistic mother asks for permission to see her son, at least from a distance. On the city's illuminated streets, a sports car speeds down the road at maximum velocity. Inside the vehicle, the woman controls the steering wheel with an empty gaze, ensuring her toy will come home. Beating her chest with emotion, the mother hears her husband's heart start to beat again in a Donner's body. In a gruesome scene, the body of the former baseball champion lies on a gurney, while doctors perform the bizarre spell. With tears streaming down, the woman swears to herself that she will reunite her family at any cost. In the mother's sick mind, the image of a picture, perfect family comes back to life, and only her son is missing to complete the collection. Back at the park, the kitten's fur stands on end, hissing at the danger and warning the boy. In an explosive possession, Demonic chains envelop the boy's body while the MC tries to withstand the magical shock. With a monstrous roar, the spirit announces that this body belongs to it, and no one else will take it. Grabbing the kid by the collar, the protagonist tries to wake the boy up by slapping him in the face. Furious, the fiend responds by beating its chest and demanding respect for its dominion over another's flesh. Taunting the enemy, the hero says that rule only exists in the demon's empty head. Out of patience, the creature returns the insult, telling the hunter to go to heck. In a brutal counterattack, the blonde guy raises his knee, sending the monster flying with a colossal punch. With blood in his eyes, the boy grabs the beast's arm in midair, telling the fiend to remember this day in hell well. In a sequence of blind punches, the MC pummels the creature's face, ensuring the kid will keep it a secret. Like in baseball, he spins his body, sending the enemy out of the park with a stupid home run. Imagining the sports commentator freaking out, the hero strikes a cool pose, guaranteeing the kid's free spirit. In a mental delirium, the little boy smiles and waves to a ghost of his champion father. Without stopping the beatdown, the mercenary continues to smash the abomination's face in the shadows. With the creature knocked out on the ground, the boy shoves his hand into its stomach, forcing the curse out. In a disgusting vomit, the boy expels the demon onto the park's lawn. Far away, the occultist grinds her teeth, feeling the grim spell unravel in the air. Breaking the black energy shackles, the plan to bring her husband back fails miserably. With an ironic smile, the witch blames the mother, thinking the old lady lost her mind in her madness. In an abandoned car lot, a red trail draws attention, revealing the witch's hideout. Standing, the blonde villain discovers that the mercenary kid expelled the demon with brute force, without even using a seal. Sighing with boredom, the criminal grumbles about the meddlesome little agency that loves to ruin her business. Putting on high heels and a boss lady posture, the chief orders them to prepare Plan B immediately. Back in the luxury car, the mother, blind with longing, announces she's coming to get her son by force. With a sinister smile, the main hag promises to return all the damages to the exorcist kid's face. Back at the park, the boy regains consciousness on the ground, calling for help and crying for his father. Completely traumatized, the player curls up, scared of the dark aura left by the creature. Agonizing on the ground, a cursed dog's head begs for more time on Earth. With a lethal stomp, the hero tells the kid to shut up and stop listening to a dying fiend's whining. Recognizing the voice, the boy chokes, realizing that abomination sounds just like his dead father. Sinking his foot into the slime, the protagonist gives a dry laugh and tells him the truth about the monster trying to imitate affection. Without beating around the bush, he reminds the little boy that the thing on the asphalt is nothing but a lying parasite. Cold and direct, the MC warns that the creature's dirty tactic is pure desperation to steal a vulnerable body. Arriving at the park like a rocket, the mother panics, screaming for them to stop the massacre of her husband. Jaw dropped, the hunter questions where this crazy, overprotective demon, dog lady came from. Pointing a finger in the hero's face, the woman yells, asking what kind of crime he committed against her family. Promptly, the boy defends his savior, saying the blonde guy did nothing wrong. Completely insane, the mother falls to her knees, crying over the puddle of black slime crushed on the ground. With his arms open wide, the boy celebrates, guaranteeing he no longer needs those toxic medicines. Crying with emotion, the child tries to justify that now he can go back to playing baseball because he's free from the demon. In a disgusting twist, the mother gets up from the ground and lands a monumental slap right across her smiling son's face. Completely outraged, the hag screams for the boy to shut up and stop being ungrateful. Collapsing in pain, the child doesn't understand the reason for the violence after celebrating his freedom. Intervening quickly, the protagonist shoves the mother back, blocking a potential new assault. Hiding his bleeding face, the boy tries to apologize in tears, trembling with pure terror. Calling the whole thing a farce, the Black Crow appears, floating above the villain's head, laughing at the family circus. From above, the bird curses the confusion, saying that playing with the natural rules only attracts disaster. In a frenzy of dark feathers, a cloud of gullish birds sprouts in the sky, forming a hurricane of pure evil. Looking up, the hero and the woman notice the sinister whirlwind, swallowing the park's full moon. Diving like arrows, the cursed crows bombard the lawn in a devastating shockwave. With a hunter's reflexes, the hero throws himself back, dodging the magical dust and deadly claws. With cuts on his face and clothes, the blonde guy feels the force of the flock tearing through his natural defense. In the middle of the cursed flames, the giant bird lands, ready to carbonize any stubborn opponent. Confused and injured, the hero complains out loud, wanting to know what the problem is with these darned creatures. Trying to establish order, the mother screams, demanding respect since she was the one who paid for the expensive control spell. Emerging from the fire, the mysterious woman snaps her fingers, demanding a new toll because the original plan went south. With a freezing gaze, the witch hypnotizes the mother, forcibly putting the crazy lady to sleep in a second. Before she falls, the hero yells, warning of the danger and telling the boy to run away from the hag. Taking advantage of the opening, the witch's accomplices force the mother and son into the sports car, ready for their getaway. From the shadows, a cyborg henchman appears, yelling that he's finally found the troublemaking hunter. Pinning the fighter to the lawn with both knees, the cyborg warns that he's going to play a game of breaking bones with him. Choking the hero's neck, the brute swears his boss sent a message straight from the underworld. Striking up a sadistic conversation, the villain recalls killing the MC's sister, trying to get a rise out of the boy. With his teeth gritted in rage, the hero recognizes the disgusting voice of the murderer who terrorized his past. Moving on to the escape plan, the blonde witch announces she's going ahead and tells the cyborg to clean up the trash quickly. Watching the car leave, the MC scratches the asphalt, realizing the kidnappers are the same gang from his past. In a cold sweat, he realizes time has run out and tries to push the monster off him to rescue the child hostage. Completely pinned by the weight, the hunter finds that the cybernetic enemy's strength is absolutely unreal. Out of nowhere, a violent kick hits the cyborg in the ribs, sending the monster flying like a sack of potatoes. Crawling on the ground, the cyborg growls with hatred, looking for the surprise attacker in the park's darkness. With his jacket dirty, Father Kang's young assistant appears, smiling and offering some providential help. Tires screeching on the grass, the archer partner arrives on the back of a motorcycle, crashing the cyborg's party, handing him a spare helmet. The girl says their boss sent the veteran priest as heavyweight backup. Without wasting time, she tells the hero to get on the bike to save the runaway little boy once and for all. Seething with rage, the robotic villain blocks their exit, swearing the mercenary is his exclusive prey. With a bloodthirsty look, the monster claims he doesn't care if his opponent is a priest or a devil, because he'll kill anyone who gets in his way. Frightened by the dark aura, the newbie asks Master Kang what kind of bizarre monster that is. Lighting a cigar, the veteran warns that the cyborg isn't just possessed, he has absorbed the entire demon into his own body. Tearing down the road at over 100 miles per hour, the sports bike chases the kidnappers' white van through traffic. With his adrenaline pumping, the blonde guy floors it and tells his partner to pull up alongside the criminal's car. Shaking in her boots, the archer calls the maniac a suicidal fool, asking if the kid's money is worth his own life. With a crazy scream, the protagonist refuses the piggy bank change and leaps from the moving motorcycle like a kamikaze pilot. Like a human missile, the hero smashes the white van's hood with both feet at once. Getting a colossal fright, the witch at the wheel loses control, cursing the suicidal hunter as a lunatic. Furious and stuck to the windshield, the MC warns that there's no turning back now that he knows the whole truth. In the boy's memory, his protective mother hugs the child, suffering because of these cursed people's dark magic. Focusing on a giant screen on the street, the mercenary finally recognizes the mother's face as a famous movie star. With a confident and stylish smile, he swears to beat the villains to a pulp and save the broken family. Full of ambition, the blonde guy declares he's going to charge the rich actress an absurd fortune as soon as the mission is over.